Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and today's guitar comparison was viewer requested via the comments section of an older video that I had made. We're going to be comparing a Stratocaster with a Jaguar. These two guitars do have a few things in common, but a few key differences, which we will briefly be highlighting before we get into the sound demonstrations. But before I get into that, if you have any requests as far as guitars that you would like to see me compare on this YouTube channel, feel free to go down in the comments section and let me know. And while you're down there, you can hit a like on this video. It really does help out, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. If you're gonna buy something, I do have affiliate links that help out immensely when people do use them. But to begin with, we're gonna talk about the Strat. The Stratocaster is the second guitar design from Leo Fender and truly a classic. It shares some of the original specifications to a Telecaster, but it had a few unique improvements and other options that a Tele did not have at the time of being made. To begin with, this has a 25.5-inch scale length. If that doesn't mean anything to you, it just sounds like numbers being thrown out. What that translates to is there's a little bit more string tension on this guitar than a guitar like a Gibson Les Paul that has a 24.75 scale length. Oftentimes, people that play Stratocasters, such as myself, I like to tune these down a half a step to E flat. It releases a little bit more of that tension and also helps it growl out a little bit. Other things that are cool about these Strat and different to a Jaguar or a Telecaster, you do have 3 pickups. You have a 5-way selector switch on all the modern reissues, and you have this tremolo system, which is pretty good, and once you get it dialed in, it's fairly abusable and reliable. And now on to Jaguars and Jaguar style instruments. I say that because this guitar is not actually a Fender guitar. This is a brand called Momose. This was handmade in Nagano, Japan, but it shares some of the vital characteristics and specifications of a traditional Fender Jaguar. You have a 24-inch scale length with 22 frets. What you get when you get one of these guitars is a very, very slinky feeling, especially compared to a Tele or a Strat. If they're both tuned the same with the same gauge of string, it is very, very obvious which one is which when you put them in your hands. It's really, really comfortable, and depending on your style of music, you may totally vibe with it. Onto the electronics of this guitar, you only have 2 pickups here, and you only have 3 options as far as the pickup selector goes. You could just have bridge, middle, and the neck, just like a Telecaster. However, you do get something that a Telecaster does not have. You do get a rhythm circuit, which bypasses all of these controls, including the volume and the tone knob here, and engages the volume and tone knob that are here on the top here. It's actually not knobs, they're little wheels, and it leads to a much darker, mellower kind of vibe because it is a different pop value than the ones that are the 1 meg in the standard positions of the guitar. But the shining piece that makes the Jaguar and the Jazzmaster just insanely fun guitars to play is the offset vibrato. This thing is the best. Now, I'm sure at this point in the video, you're probably tired of hearing me talk and you're interested in hearing these guitars back to back. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be using the Tone King Gremlin amp mic'd up by the SM57. I took a picture of the settings that the amp was on. They remain the same throughout for both guitars, so you'll have that as a reference point, as well as when we do engage the Benson preamp for a little bit of drive sounds, I'm going to show you the levels on that as well. Now, I personally believe it is absolutely vital to have the same exact settings on the amplifier and on pedals whenever I'm doing a guitar comparison, because it just gives you an honest idea of how they sound through the same exact rig without alterations. But what I didn't tell you had to be modified, so to speak, on this guitar in order to do this was I had to tune this down a half a step to E flat, and it resulted in a even more so slinky experience than what I'm used to, and it isn't really ideally set up for it. I was getting a little bit more buzz than I typically would like. However, playing them, I still think I got the point across here. I love this bridge pickup. Compared to the Stratocaster, this just has so much more grit and power behind it, and it's really, really awesome. The neck pickup is actually surprisingly not all that far off from the Strat, although it does have its own flavor going on. The middle position is where things got very interesting, because there is no middle position on a Stratocaster. You're comparing a guitar with 3 pickups versus a guitar that has 2 pickups. So obviously it's not apples to apples, but when we talk about the Strat, the Jaguar and the Telecaster simply don't have the ability to replicate what the Stratocaster can in the 4th position and in the 2nd position, because that's where you implement the neck pickup combined with the middle pickup and the bridge pickup combined with the middle pickup. It gives you this awesome quack. If you're a funk player like I am, man, you would absolutely know it. It is easily identifiable. It sits awesome with other instruments. It's just amazing. I love the sounds that you get from those 2 positions, and it really wasn't a fair comparison to try and have the Jaguar with only its 2 pickups kind of, go up against it. However, onto things that can be compared again, the neck pickup on the Strat, man, add a little bit of dirt to it, and it is just heaven. It sounds amazing. It's full. It's got growl to it. It's got bite, but it's also got a lot of clarity. The bridge pickup on this guitar is a little bit underrated in my opinion, because a lot of people you'll see they put in either stacked single coils or they'll replace the bridge pickup and throw in something like a humbucker. I really don't feel the need to do that with this guitar or with Strats in general, but for each their own. I think that this can sound a little bit thin. However, you might be surprised once you start introducing other instruments alongside a Stratocaster that you might find it cuts very well and much easier than other guitars that might sound bigger, so to speak. Remember, it's not all about how your guitar sounds when isolated. You have to consider how's it going to sit with other instruments in an actual song. Now, just a few quick things before we finish up today's video. I'm going to talk about some playability and construction things. On average, a Stratocaster is going to be a little bit lighter than a Jaguar in general, and it just kind of makes sense when you look at them side by side. You have a lot more metal involved with the Jaguar, and it's a bigger body on top of that. The second thing is the vibrato systems of the 2 of them. This is absolutely serviceable. It really stays in tune very well once it's set up. However, it is nowhere near the same kind of experience or have the same kind of abilities that the one on the Jaguar has available to it, which you'll also find on a Fender Jazzmaster or Jazzmaster style guitar. Comfort-wise, they both got belly cuts on them. You can feel good sitting or standing. They're both awesome. So now I ask you, If you had to pick, what would you rather have? Strat or Jaguar? If you have both, which one do you like more and why? Let me know in the comments down below. That's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe we learned a thing or two, and I had a lot of fun along the way. If you've made it this far, I really would appreciate it. If you hit a like on this video, it does help out. Unfortunately, I have to say that, but it kind of is what it is when you make these sorts of videos. Subscribe if you haven't already and you find this content entertaining or useful, and I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to tell somebody that you love, that you do love them, and play your own guitar today. Take it easy.